Hey everyone, welcome to Fundraising is Dead, the podcast where we expose the broken fundraising systems that are failing you and show you what actually works. I have a great topic today. It is going to expose a myth that is prevalent all over nonprofits all over the world. And it is the myth that there are magic words and phrases that you can speak that will open donor dollars. And I'm telling you, it's a myth and a lie. Magic words don't exist. Magic words don't exist. Why am I hot on this subject? I was on LinkedIn a little while ago and a fundraiser posted the question, should you ask for money or not? And I was like, well, duh. Fundraisers ask for money. Of course he's going to say yes. And he did. My problem with the post was that he loosely mocked George Mueller and any nonprofit or ministry that uses George Mueller as a role model. And if you're asking who George Mueller is, George Mueller ministered to more than 10,000 orphans in the 1800s in the UK. Think about that. George Mueller took care of, fed, clothed, housed, ministered to, loved on more than 10,000 orphans in the 1800s. What squalor would they be living in? He was also incredibly well known for having never asked an individual for money. Think about that. He took care of 10,000 plus orphans, fed them, clothed them, housed them, took care of them without ever asking an individual for money. Why would you mock that? That sounds amazing. By the way, at the end of the post, he was talking about fundraising banquets. He talked about how some guy made a pitch on stage and got millions of dollars. And I was like, well, duh, you're at a fundraising banquet. If you're not asking for money at a fundraising banquet, something's wrong with you. But the idea that there are magic words and phrases you can speak to individuals with that's going to make them want to give you money and continue the relationship, that doesn't exist. It doesn't. It doesn't exist. I've been around wealthy people my whole life. It's not bragging, it's just the truth. I've been on hundreds and hundreds of donor trips, never once a fundraising trip. I know how these wealthy people think. They don't want to be asked for money. Do you? By the way, think about that. If you had a friend that constantly talked about themselves and regularly asked you for money, would you keep them around very long? But that's what we do as nonprofits. We send out newsletters. All we do is talk about ourselves, and we ask for money every single time. And we wonder why the current going statistics. This is why it's so crazy. In 2024, 70% of first-time donors didn't give again to that charity or ministry. Think about that. More than 70%, 7 out of 10 donors never give again to that charity or ministry. And at the exact same time, if you thank a donor properly, in 2024, if you thank a donor properly, you go, what does that mean? I can tell you. If you thank a donor properly, there's an 85% chance they will give again, and that second donation will be larger. Man, so again, I've asked this before, I'm going to ask it again. Is the hard part really getting that first donation? Is that really what's difficult? I've spoken at nearly 300 fundraising banquets. I've asked for money hundreds of times. It's really easy. I've raised millions and millions of dollars on stage asking for money. That's the easy part. The hard part is continuing the relationship for a lifetime. That's the hard part. And one of the biggest reasons is because people think they have to ask wealthy donors for money. That's what the real pros are doing, right, Ryan? No. From 1976 until my dad parted with Focus on the Family in 2011, not one time was an individual, okay, it was one time, if you've heard the earlier podcast. One time a rep asked an individual for money and it lost him his job, it lost my dad a friend, and it never happened again. That's not the philosophy. That's not how it works. It ruined a friendship. From 1976 until 2011, nobody was asked for money. Those Focus reps weren't out asking for $1, let alone millions of dollars. The relationship started because that person had already given to Focus on the Family. Do you get that? They've already invested in you. Now it's your turn to invest back into the donor. I'll show you how my dad does this. Speaking of fundraising banquets, he holds an event in the fall, which is when normally fundraising banquets are. It's wildly attended. They have a waiting list to come. But it's not a fundraiser. You never get asked for money in it. There's no cards on the table. There's no prospectus. There's no architectural drawings. There's no, this group has been so supportive of us and you've accomplished so much ministry with all the support that you've given, and we've got this new plan and you can fund it. That doesn't happen. It is an investment into donors. By the way, the speaker lineup. Woo! The speaker lineup. I mean, you name it. Charlie Kirk, Gary Bauer, Eric Metaxas, Ben Carson, Michelle Bachman. There's so many people. Pat Boone was there one year. That's crazy. 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 3, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson live zoomed in 4 days after he was elected to Speaker of the House. Live zoomed in, took questions from the audience and my dad. It was so cool. Later that night, Trump sent a video in. Went off script, told jokes. It was great. No one gets asked for money. And by the way, you go, oh, well, it must be it's so extravagant. It must cost a fortune to go to that event. You'd think so. And it is extravagant. Look up the Broadmoor Hotel in Colorado Springs. Catered all day long. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks in between, dessert bar after the keynote at night. Fully catered. Broadmoor Hotel. How much does it cost to go to that event, Ryan? Let's see. $0. $0. If you get invited to that event and you fly to Colorado Springs, they will pay for your hotel. They will pay for your meals, and they will bring all those speakers in, and you'll get to hang out with my parents. Oh yeah. My dad does that every year. It cost Family Talk nearly $300,000 to put that event on. Man, I am telling secrets. They don't ask for money, and yet somehow Family Talk is between a $10 and $12 million a year organization. How is that? At 89 years of age, my dad turned 89 last week. Puts on an event for free, pays for it themselves. And they still bring in that kind of money. And they never ask individuals for dollars. It never happens. It would just change the relationship so fast. It becomes transactional. All of a sudden you see a person as a dollar sign, not as a friend. I know this. I have a friend who's a billionaire. We grew up together. He got into tech early on. I mean, genius, right? Genius level. Got into tech and just built and built and built and built and built. Moved to the East Coast. When I was in DC, I'd see him all the time. Now I'm here. We don't see each other that often. We are close. We've been on couples trips with our wives. We've been on family vacations with our children and families. Our kids know each other. We have the same faith. We've gone to church together. We believe in a lot of the same causes. And I'm telling you, oh my goodness, I would never pitch him funding some organization I'm working with. By the way, that will stop some organizations from working with me right now. And that's good. If you think I'm going to go to my friends and ask them for money on your behalf, you are crazy. I would never do that. I'd lose all my friends. So will you. If you do that to your donors, you're going to lose all your friends, and the phone will not pick up when you call. Telling you, instantly changes the relationship. So what do you do instead? First one is gratitude before giving. When someone gives, thank them. Thank them often. Thank them again. Show the impact. Show where it meant to you. How it impacted your life. How it impacted the ministry. What things were done because of it. Not just thanking them for the donation. They're already wealthy. They're already giving to you. Or they're making a sacrifice. But that's money. Show them the impact. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Build a relationship. Find out information. That's the second one. Put their life cycle into your CRM. Collect their information. Go get the McKay 66. Figure out the 66 pieces of information you can collect on a donor. At the Family Talk gathering, there are no note cards on the table to fill out your contact information and get all this information from you. Do you know why? Because my dad's VP of Donor Development, who's 83 years old, already has all your information. She knows your name. She knows your spouse's name. She probably knows your kids' names. She knows your birthday. She knows your anniversary. She probably knows what college you went to. She knows how you prefer to be contacted. She knows if you want to be called on your cell phone or at home. She knows if you want to be texted or emailed. Like they're going to need to gather your information at their event. Please. They love you so much that they're going to bring in Charlie Kirk and Ben Carson, Eric Metaxas and Gary Bauer and Donald Trump and Michelle Bachmann and the rest of them just to invest back into you. And they're bringing in $10 to $12 million a year without asking. Pretty cool, yeah? And that's what we can show you how to do. Gratitude, using your CRM is super, super important. And that's another one. If you can, listen, host as many fundraisers as you want. But try to host experience events, okay? Experience, especially for your wealthiest donors. For your wealthiest donors, hang out with them. Go to dinner. Go see a concert. Get together. Have an experience. The very first large donation check to Focus on the Family came in 1976. We were lifelong friends. In fact, that man, we were friends with him until the day he passed. Good family friends. I still know his children today. That was 1976, goodness, that was a long time ago. I can't do the math right now. In 1979 and 1980, a few years later, we were on a trip, a donor trip, not a fundraising trip, a donor trip with that guy and a bunch of other dads. They were all wealthy donors to Focus on the Family. And the donor reps have been talking to all of them. They've been getting to know these men, getting to know what their struggles were. Do you know what businessmen struggle with a lot? Very, very wealthy businessmen are what? Driven, motivated. They work really, really hard. Can you imagine what might be a struggle for them? They said they were struggling to build meaningful memories and meaningful relationships with their children. That's what they were telling the reps. Instead of the reps asking them for more money, the reps were asking them, what are you struggling with in life? And they kept hearing, we're having trouble making relationships with our kids. So 1979 and 1980, my dad and me and a bunch of dads and their kids went backpacking in Yosemite, and we rappelled, and we rock climbed, and we jumped off cliffs into lakes. And we've been friends with all of those guys for the last 45 years. Friends. There were two other guys on that trip. One's that have a ministry you would know. The other one owns a hotel chain you would know. Why do I say that? They joined my dad's board last year, 45 years after that trip. They've been friends for 45 years. They call each other. They've been there through the good times and the bad times, the lean times, the wealthy times. That's true sustainability. And we can teach you and you can do it. God bless. I'll see you in the next episode.
Want to build donor relationships that last? At Dobson Philanthropic, we teach the proven systems behind the success of ministries like Focus on the Family. Stop losing donors. Start building a thriving, sustainable future. Visit fundraisingisdead.com.